Brought to you in association with Grendel Press. This is Werewolf the Podcast, a serial killer drama.
Hello, welcome to the show. If this is your first time here, then enjoy. If it's not your first time here, then enjoy. If you go down to the description, there is loads of things to do with the show. Loads of things from our writers, like novels and things like that. And we also have things like Grendel Press, who are a wonderful horror publisher in America who make really good not films, is it? It's books. They make really good books that are wonderful. So I know I say wonderful a lot, don't I? Anyway, we're carrying on with from last week. We are in the fairy foundling factory and we are sorting it out. Well, not me personally. I mean the characters in the show, they're sorting it out. So okay, I'll shut up. Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Lucy. I stepped from the shadows. That's what I do. I dwell in the shadows, and when no one expects it, I step from them. Not in that jump scare horror film manner. My appearance is more like an unexpected insinuation into the world. I stepped from the shadows with my little demon of a cat twisting and turning around my ankles. They hadn't seen me yet. I voiced, trying to get their attention. 7 faces of varying aesthetic values looked at me.
I recognize that, ahem,
said the professor as he turned to face me. Normally, I would be greeted with a smile and a gentlemanly kiss on the back of the hand. I do like the old gentlemanly manners of the prof when he's on the ball, as he would say. His face showed that he was not on the ball. He was most evidently off it.
Ah, Lucy,
he began. I lifted a hand to ask him for quiet. Look, I don't want to take any more time than this has to, I told the group.
Of course,
spat the wolf soul. My little demon hissed at him. The young woman I knew to be a Werecat laughed silently with the little cat and looked at the wolf soul. I hadn't met her before, but I know everyone and everything sort of. It's a complicated version of knowing, and I could explain it, but I don't want to. The giant was staring and drool was dripping from what must be a mouth of sorts. The goblin was looking at me hungrily with those little red eyes of his.
I hope you can tell us why you're here, Lucy,
asked Will. He was angry. Well, nothing new there then. He was always angry. I had a plan.
You always have a bloody plan,
said Fenrir. That was a little snarky, I told him. Accurate, but snarky. He went to speak again, but I raised a finger, not requesting him to be quiet, but actually making him. I could sense his confusion over the fact that he could not control his own actions. I still own his soul, then.
Well, it was Sally, but most evidently not Sally, it was Lucy. Of course, she'd manipulate the shit out of us again.
I thought it would be fun to get you guys here to do a good thing. To release these poor innocent souls and stop the nasty little fairy.
She told us.
See, I'm willing to make you look good in my dad's eyes. You should thank me.
And why exactly would you have us do that?
The professor asked, evidently confused that the devil would want to do something so good. Could he not see the key word in what she just said? He must be incredibly emotionally spent not to see the obvious. He wasn't thick. Then his head fell.
Ah, innocent souls.
He laughed, but not Not as something funny, it was an awkward laugh at his simple lack of understanding this initially,
I must be exhausted.
he announced, wiping his eyes.
Evidently, innocent souls can become guilty souls. Souls of sin.
The devil nodded and shrugged.
Evidently. What did you expect?
She asked him.
Got to give those poor kids a chance to... You know the rest. Free will and all that is such a wonderful thing that we should give all of them the chance to exercise it.
You mean the chance to fuck up, don't you?
Not the term I would use to encapsulate the process, but you are inherently correct.
This was not the time to have a deep and meaning philosophical chat with the devil about good and evil and shit, but it would be great at some point to do so. I'd really like that. What many would see as a good thing, saving these young lives, was actually going to create the conditions where a lot more evil could come out of it. Who knew what these kids would grow up like? Can you imagine the trauma responses to this experience alone? She was brilliant at her job. Okay, so you wanted us to kill the fairy and rescue the kids, I asked her. She nodded.
But as usual, you got in your own way.
She said,
So, I'm going to do something most undevilish.
She looked at the little black cat at her heel. I could sense that there was an internal struggle going on in that beautiful head of hers. The cat sat and looked at her. Lucy bit her lip and nodded at the cat. She nodded at the little cat again and shaking herself out as if trying to rid herself of some uncomfortable feeling that she'd felt. She seemed to prepare herself.
Right. Okay. I command... No. I obligate you. No. Could you get the fairy?
She spoke at speed and with some difficulty. This was really hard for her. The professor smiled at me and then at the devil and then did something completely ridiculous. Let's say in his language, utterly ridiculous.
Come on now. What's the magic word?
He said gravely, putting a hand to his ear as if to aid his hearing. Shit, I knew he'd fucked up. This man was a very tired immortal, and he'd made a mistake that a well-rested Simon would not make. Provoking the devil does not seem like a particularly good idea. And you know what? I was right. The devil became it's indescribable. I cannot say what I saw, but it burned its way into my mind, and it will always remind me that this being before me was not for toying with. That this was the fucking devil, and now I understood what that means. The professor's jaw dropped at her change, and he yelled and covered his eyes. I'm glad I couldn't see what he was seeing. It affected him in a way I'd never seen him affected before. He actually fucking cowered. And you don't know what that... You don't understand what that means. This man wasn't the cowering kind. Think of some of the things that he's seen and dealt with. This man was not the cowering kind. Maybe it was like the devil we normally view, but in reverse. When you see the devil normally, when you see the devil normally, yeah, right. You see the thing you wish for most. I saw Sally, which I would have to address at some point. Maybe when the devil lost her shit, her temper, you saw the opposite. Let's just say that, I don't know, the most opposite thing that you would ever want to see, to wish for. Ooh, one day and a few drinks in the future, I would have to ask Simon what he saw. One day. I wondered what the others saw, what the giant and the goblin saw, what had Vaughnt seen. They were frozen in time. I know. It took me a moment to realise this. It was only seeing that Vaughnt was in a sort of partial half-step and would have fallen if not frozen, and that allowed me to guess this. Maybe they'd been saved from what we saw by this. I hope so. The devil changed back to Sally.
Sorry.
His voice was broken and genuine. This man was. What can I say? This man was? It's a shit word, but he was really sorry.
Look, I know that you think all this is a fun adventure for you. That you can act like children. Children on a good wheeze, as you would say. This is not a jolly jape. This is not some Enid Blyton story with a happy ending. Proper stories never end happily, because they only end when their characters are dead. Your story ends when you are dead. And then something like me, or me, gets to write your story for you. And the tales I write are never ending and never happy.
Fenrir and I looked at each other. His eyes were just broiling coals now instead of the flames. And oh, fuck. Some people, maybe, I don't know, the philosophers of the world, wonder how to separate the real and the unreal. Well, in this moment I realised what was happening was realer than real. I don't know a word that could be used to tell you how real this moment felt. She was real. Everything else here, like, it just wasn't. And she must be in so much pain. She must be. Her eyes flashed to mine. Had she heard my mind? I saw a tear. I saw a tear wind its way down her cheek. Oh no.
Sympathy for the devil?
She asked me, both sarcastically and rhetorically.
You should take me seriously. Don't be condescending. Don't try to make me a plaything for your wit. Just listen and choose what you wish to do. You ungrateful bastard. Never mind. Just answer the question.
I had forgotten the question. Whatever it had been wrenched from my head by what had happened in the last few minutes, and with some trepidation I had to ask. I promise you, I'm not trying to be clever or take the piss here. I genuinely, because of what happened, I've forgotten what the bloody question was. Could you repeat it?
I asked you very nicely to stop Foxglove. Will you?
Yes, I said without any thought. The professor, still pale and, well, not looking quite himself, nodded his agreement, not raising his bowed head or taking his eyes from the floor. Lucy was now staring at the wolf soul. I think she wanted his approval. I could sense the wolf soul's mind working. He held the eyes of whatever he saw when he looked at her. He spent some time staring into those eyes, and his eyes started off as roaring yellow flames and fell to deep red burning embers. And then he nodded.
Could I ask you to do us a favour, old thing?
Asked the professor. This was not said with his usual level of control and confidence. The devil looked at him. It's only now that I realise how terrifying that sentence actually is. The devil, ___, the devil, the actual devil, looked at him. I now knew what the word meant. Devil. I had seen something of what that actually is.
Brave of you.
It really fucking was, too. That was probably the bravest thing I'd seen him do.
Would you send all these youngsters back to where they should be?
Look, I'm doing my best here. I'm working within my particular framework.
Framework? That seems a quick way to say what she was. A guide for souls, a tempter, a trickster. The things she did led the souls that she ever connected with to fall. I think what she really wanted to do was give these little ones more of a chance, and if she kind of helped them again, then it'd only be more likely that she would be part of their future. You don't want the devil to touch your life. You really don't. She must have been, I don't know, listening to my thoughts, because again she looked at me and she looked quite surprised and she nodded. And then in my mind, I think it must have just been for me. She said, "Secondly, I am the devil, not a taxi service, you cheeky sods." She laughed. She was trying to lighten the moment or something. The beast, the monster, she was trying to make us feel better. I realised in that moment that I am doomed. A good word. The professor must have heard something too. It must have been different, because he smiled, although he continued to stare at the floor and pick the dirt from beneath his fingernails with his Victorian ox knife. Must have had some kind of blade on for picking under nails. He smiled, but he still looked like a dog that his beloved master had kicked. Was she his master? Fuck. There's a thought. She just stared at him now. I don't know if she was talking to him. I have no idea. He just stared at the floor. She stared at him. I couldn't hear anything, but there was definitely a conversation going on there. I could see her thinking and him thinking.
Oh, damn it. Go on then.
I would never pry into what was said, but once she said that, a little smirk came to his face. He'd obviously charmed her into getting his will. She clicked her fingers and then she was gone. The giant and the goblin were gone, and the Jinn Bosworth had just suddenly appeared. The Werecat sort of continued with her half step before pulling up and wondering what had happened as she gained her balance.
Thank you, old girl.
His eyes were still on the floor, but he had a wide smile on his face. The professor's charm offensive must have worked on the devil. He took his flask from one of the myriad of pockets of his tactical outfit, and in a quiet salute, he lifted it to where she had been, and he took a long drink. And then he just stared. He just paused for thought. I have no idea what was going on in his head, but it was something.
The Professor. I realized today that I am damned. It had never seemed to be of any consequence to me before. I accepted it, but I didn't understand what that actually meant. I mean, I now actually know what being damned means. In fact, I already am. It's just that I've not come to the end of this weird, immortal life of mine, as if I could ever get into heaven. What was I thinking? Me. After my time in the real world, the mortal realm, perhaps, my life would no longer belong to me. My ability to choose would be gone. I'd be hers forever. The devil's plaything. And she'd always known it. And now, so did I. The djinn had arrived and been filled in with all that had happened. His anger was apparent. He had grown in size, and the nature of his robes were not the jovial neon pink that they normally were. He was flashing flames and fire colors. The colors raged, as did he. We'd asked for wishes to help the children, but none were given. He reminded us that wishes are dangerous. They are provided to make people realize how stupid wishing is. They're given to go wrong and to teach lessons. He'd just got on with it. The kids were gone. They had their memories cleansed of the horrors they'd been through. They'd gone home to happy to see them again families, which for most of these particular kids hadn't existed before their imprisonment. They all had a happier story than they had prior, even if it was not a happy ever after. After all, she was still a possibility. Could you imagine being her?
Vaughnt, read by the narrator. Everything seemed to be sorted out now. It had got boring after all the fun of the first few moments. Deep and meaningful things had happened, I think. I tried to pay attention to others and the emotions that they're feeling, but I'm a cat. They don't really matter to me, to be honest, because I'm a cat. I'm what matters to me. Bosworth, I think, was raging. He was a storm of colours and anger. It was actually quite cool to watch him fluoresce for a while. He was like a walking firestorm. He was as furious as could be. He was furious at something. I don't know what, because I'd chipped a nail in it. I really was struggling to get it back in shape. But apparently he was really angry at something.
Vaughnt?
Oh shit, the professor had been talking to me. I had no idea what he'd said. I looked at him and smiled. That usually was the answer.
Did you hear what he said?
I looked at the big fiery djinn and smiled. And then the professor and smiled. Shook my head in no, it's got nothing to do with me, and I got back to my sharpening. Could these things, these people, these whatevers, not see that I had something important to do? They're so rude, putting themselves before me. For the love of cats.
Vaughnt, come on, old girl. We need you to pay attention, please.
Okay. I stretched and yawned. This best be bloody important. I need a nap. The professor now stood directly in front of me, a bit too close. He tended to do this when he was really trying to gain my attention. It was so annoying. His breath stunk of that stuff he drinks. I tried it once. It's vile. Why would you want to drink something that burns and hurts your mouth? Crazy. Oh shit, he'd been talking again. I'd stepped into my own thoughts.
Look, Vaughnt, you do need to pay attention to this.
I tried to stifle another yawn and then I nodded. Okay.
Bozzy's located her, and you're going to want to listen because I know how this is going to make you feel.
Oh, Oh, okay. Now I'll pay attention. This sounded like it involved me as something that would actually affect me. I even stopped the shaping of my almost perfect talon tip.
She's somewhere on the real plane, somewhere that has a huge level of magical protection. It's so good that he can't use his utterly outrageous powers to summon her.
I yawned and stretched. I really needed that nap.
Closed the portal.
He was looking at me very seriously. Pardon? I signed him.
Good gracious, girl, I need you to listen. She's in the manor, and she's closed the portal.
What? She's in my home? My entire attention was now on what Simon said. That was my home. That was...
She could be doing bloody anything in there. I mean, this may be a plan of sorts. We need someone who is super fast and super killy to go and get her.
He said. Yeah, we bloody do, I signed him. She could be eating that tuna steak I had in the fridge. Why was he telling me this and not just sorting it the fuck out? I mean, see humans always just wasting time. They never consider me and my time. Get them then, I signed. He shook his head and raised his hands in exasperation.
Wait, it's you, the super fast killy thing, by Jove.
I could tell he was actually angry with me. He was actually angry with me. Why didn't you say earlier? I signed. He turned his back and walked away a few steps, actually pulling at his own hair as he did so, before turning to me. Why was he angry? God, he's such a weirdo.
I bloody did! Look, we can only get you to the boundary of the estate because I've done such a bloody good job of protecting the whole bloody place. We can both get in because I've not protected the house from us. But you can cover the mile or so to the house from where we'll land a hell of a lot faster than I can. I mean, I'll get there eventually to help, but you shall be the tip of the spear, my dear.
This was more like it. Why hadn't he said this before? This was exciting. This was gonna be fun.
Right, Werecats,
he said to himself. He seemed frustrated, but he obviously was thinking about how great we were.
Bloody Werecats.
He grizzled before wiping his hand over his face to remove the frown and produce a smile that did not fit how he was feeling. What was causing him this much irritation? Maybe he's just really tired. Yeah, he's like me. Well, I need a nap. He must need a nap too. You know, it's been a busy day and...
Vaughnt!
What? Oh, he'd been talking again. Oops.
Look!
He yelled. There's no need for that. He must be really needing that nap.
Look,
he said in a much more dignified and controlled tone.
Get to the manor and kill the
He
fairy.
told me through gritted teeth. At last, he got to the point. They waste so much time talking about and stuff that's got nothing to do with it. I stood to attention and threw up a salute like the soldiers did on the TV. Right, okay, I signed to him. He turned to the djinn and shrugged. The djinn, well, he was standing there with his robe-covered arms folded. What was wrong with him? The djinn nodded at him.
Tally-ho, Vaughnt. Tally-ho.
Everything went black. Briefly.
Brought to you in association with Grendel Press. This is Werewolf the Podcast, a serial killer drama.